Peace. I heard a rapper say that I don't want no problems. I actually think they're right, cause I don't like the drama. Some will call it an oasis, others say nirvana. Either way, my soul is heavy and I'm trying to find it. Cause nobody wanna be civil, but it feels like civil war can happen any minute. People in desperation when they get pushed to the limit. Jesus said he bring peace, but the peace he talking is different. Cause we all looking for peace and quiet. But some of us confuse peace with quiet. Just because things are quiet doesn't mean no conflict. Things may have to get louder if we're being honest. And that's where many are afraid to go. Real peace is where the truth can come and make a home. But in order to do right, we gotta face the wrong. So instead of saying peace, I'ma say shalom. Yeah, shalom is probably better. Shalom is everything working exactly how God intended. Is pointing out all the evil and bleeding what's been oppressive, recovering what was lost and then bringing it to potential. You see, God created this life to flourish. So if you gon' fight, make sure you fight with purpose. You gon' find what you need if your life is searching. But best believe you gon' have to learn to fly with turbulence. See, Jesus said he would bring shalom, taking everything that's broken and make it whole. That's physical, spiritual, and relational. What a beauty to behold, we are fully known. So listen, go and be a peacemaker, but it'll cost you something. This isn't cheap labor. Starting petty arguments? No, I'll see you later. Ain't no time for that, we gotta prepare to meet the maker. Until then, I'm praying for peace. It's my prayer for right here and the same for the streets. Not too long ago, I was living dangerously, but my God specializes in taming the beast. So close your eyes and view the blessing of when this broken world gets glued to heaven. No more studying war, there's a new obsession, and every useless weapon gets used for mending. But yet and still the blade is sharp. Never mind what you may have thought, this ain't for the faint of heart. Break apart from the pain and start chasing a greater cause. Grace of God is the type of peace we all been praying for. I say peace, but shalom is probably better. Shalom is everything working exactly how God intended. It's pointing out all the evil and bleeding what's been oppressive, recovering what was lost and then bringing it to potential. I say peace, but shalom is probably better. Shalom is everything working exactly how God intended. It's pointing out all the evil and bleeding what's been oppressive. One day, the lion and the lamb will lie down together. Thank you.
Khalid, thank you. Shalom and peace to you. Thank you for sharing your talents and your call for honesty in all of our relations. I can't wait to hear the next song, which was commissioned by JDI, which we will hear at the end of today's program. Good morning, everyone. I'm Deb Collins-Gooseby, the president of the JDI Board of Directors and the chief operating officer at Brookview House, a proud member of the JDI coalition. It is so nice not to see you in little squares on the screen. Instead, we are here to connect and be face to face. It is wonderful. To say that these last few years have been challenging would be a total understatement. In preparing for today, I want to lift up that it was in no small part the power of coalition and our shared commitment to the work of ending and preventing gender-based violence that helped so many of us get through. In reality, those little squares were our lifeline, leaning on one another for support, figuring out how to navigate the unprecedented reality that was thrust upon us by the pandemic, sharing our concerns, and creating new approaches to safety for those experiencing sexual and domestic violence. We learned so much, we've grown stronger, we've opened ways to new learning, of approaching the work and supporting survivors and communities impacted by all forms of violence. Next week, you will receive JDI's annual report, in addition to the highlights from 2021 and a strong financial picture. You'll read quotes from people in our JDI membership, our partners in the private sector, and advocates on the range of issues. These quotes underscore the need for a strong JDI: connection, solidarity, boldness, change. On behalf of the Board of Directors, who I hope you've had a chance to meet today, Board members, can you raise your hands or stand, please, real quickly? Thank you. Thank you all for being here today, for opening up your hearts and your wallets to help JDI be prepared for what might lie ahead and for what we can accomplish together. For those of you who joined us at last year's breakfast, we presented video messages from some of JDI's many partners. We also asked each of them to answer another question, and today we are going to share a few of their responses. Thank you and enjoy.
If Jane Doe were an animal, what would it be? For me, they'd be a dolphin. And when envisioning the ocean as Jane Doe's environment, I see them as dolphins that are collective, they're intelligent, and they're social, and they live in pods, just like a coalition.
Of course, I have to bring it down. Good morning. Oh, this is so beautiful. Whew. I am Deborah Robin, JDI's proud executive director. So thrilled to see all of these faces in person. You are multidimensional, but we've been saying that all along, and excited for the folks who are joining us virtually. Thank you for being here. JDI is the state coalition against sexual assault and domestic violence, and our 60-member organizations throughout the Commonwealth work every day to support survivors for safety and justice. As the coalition, our work is grounded in the intersections of gender-based violence and racial justice. I would love to introduce the amazing staff at JDI to all of you. So JDI team, please wave your hands or stand. This incredible staff of 7, soon to be 8, works on an amazing array of projects and initiatives that are designed to lift up the amazing workforce of advocates, many of whom are survivors themselves, ourselves. Focuses on the role that prevention does and must play in order to eradicate gender-based violence. Promotes and designs responsible public policy and systems changes to reduce barriers and open up opportunities for survivors who are the most impacted. In the coming year, our work will continue these themes with an emphasis on the importance of healing and joy, because we know how challenging the past 2 years have been. And these are tough times currently in terms of what is at stake and what lies ahead. Between the attacks on our democracy, the impact of gun violence, the threats to bodily autonomy, including the rights of transgender people and reproductive freedom, our work is cut out for us. It is through the strength of our coalition community and our connections to one another that will nourish us to find the places where we can be united. I hope all of you will stay involved and remain connected to JDI after today. Against the backdrop of these serious issues, JDI also appreciates the importance of celebration, and that's what today is all about. Can't have one without the other. So I want to say a few thank yous, really from the depths of my heart. Thank you, Danella Clark and Maria Harris, for your amazing work as our co-chairs, who joined us on early morning calls many, many times in the last few months, and who both were recognizing as bronze sponsors for today. Danella, you answered my call, and I really appreciate it, and you introduced Maria, and that's been an amazing partnership. To our host committee that's done an amazing job on those early morning calls. To our many sponsors, many of whom are here today, who support us every single day. To the JDI board and staff, and most notably to Tony Troop, our Director of Communications and Development, who made this day a reality. I want to recognize Representative Tommy Vitolo for being with us today. Thank you so much, Representative. I want to thank our JDI members across Massachusetts, but many of whom are with us today. Thank you. You make our work the joy that it is every day. A big thanks to the ASL interpreters who are joining us virtually, to the Charleston AV for the sound you are hearing today, and to Bob Russo. Where are you, Bob? Oh, there's Bob, who is our behind-the-scenes event organizer extraordinaire, like for years, maybe decades now. Nice to be back in person to be able to do this, right? I want to say a few words about our awardees also. Every year, the JDI board and staff goes through a thoughtful process to identify our Justice in Action honorees. We don't take this lightly. This year, I'm so proud that these two incredible entities embody the arenas of human rights, social justice, economic empowerment, which are areas that are so aligned with JDI's work and values. Some of you know that I like to be a sleuth because I'm kind of curious, and so I did a little sleuthing about our awardees. U.S. Attorney Rachel Rollins and Elena Van Tassel from the Office of Economic Empowerment and the Massachusetts Treasurer's Office. And I learned about a profound influence that has impacted both of their lives, work and personally, and wanted to share that intel here in this room so you know a little bit more about them. As Rachel Rollins recently spoke at the BU School of Law, and I encourage you to watch that video if you have not seen it, she noted that her life trajectory has been incredibly influenced by none other the work of writer and producer David E. Kelley. So if you really want to get her attention, mention Ally McBeal, The Practice, The Lincoln Lawyer, and many other of David E. Kelley's shows. You might think it's about talking about an issue, but really I think it's about that. As for Elena, I learned that Broadway and Disney characters have had a huge impact on your life, and that it's not unusual to see a Disney character regularly airbrushed into your family photographs, and I saw that firsthand. So if you break out in a song from Broadway, you will definitely get her attention. Thank you both for all that you do and continue to do for survivors. It is our absolute pleasure to honor you today. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Deborah. And again, I have to say, as I keep looking at the beauty in this room, thank you. Thank each and every one of you for being with us this morning. Thank you so much. I'd now like to invite Maria Harris back to the stage, as well as U.S. Attorney Rachel Rollins and Elena Van Tassel, as we have our conversation. These are our Justice in Action honorees, Justice in Action. You've already heard a little bit about them, but what can I say about U.S. Attorney Rachel Rollins? I know this woman personally. She is a dear friend. But when you look at somebody like Rachel, you see someone who's meaningful, someone who is powerful, somebody who is dedicated to her work and to all of us as citizens, just a trailblazer, and has truly made this work to support us, her life's work. Today we also get to introduce you to Elena Van Tassel, who leads the Office of Economic Empowerment here in the Commonwealth. But before we do that, we have a very special message also from another good friend who holds so many titles. You know, I'm associated with a school. When you all are in Fenway, we've heard a lot this morning about how both Rachel and Alana loves the arts. Many people don't know that Treasurer Deb Goldberg, in addition to leading the lottery and being our Receiver General, she also is the head of the Massachusetts Schools Building Authority. And we are so excited in the Fenway that Boston Arts Academy will get a new school. And I was saying earlier to Alana that we had our graduation yesterday, and we have a dignitary in town who will be with the treasurer this evening, as she gets to throw out the first pitch in honor of 50 years of the lottery, which actually supports our school. So now we have a message from Madam Treasurer Deb Goldberg.
Hi there, Deb Goldberg here, the Massachusetts State Treasurer, and I want to say hello and thank you so much. I am truly honored to, along with my team, and certainly my team deserves a huge shout out, to receive the Justice in Action Award for this year, 2022. I also want to give a quick shout out to Rachel Rollins, who I am absolutely thrilled to be sharing this occasion with, because she too deserves honor such as this. We in the Treasurer's Office back in 2014 created the Office of Economic Empowerment to support those who are truly deserving of having the resources and the support to break through barriers and to be able to empower themselves to take on the challenges of their lives. I want to give a little shout out to Maria and Danella. Danella, everywhere I turn, I see you. And so I wish I could be there with you today, but since I can't, I just want to thank you again.
Do we think we can move this back so our guest on the right can see? Help you out. Thank you. Right. Thank you. You guys all set? Great. So I'm going to start by saying that I read both of your bios, along with Danella's when I first met her a little over a year ago, and I've never felt like more of a slug than than actually reading your backgrounds. Very, very accomplished. And I've been in HR for the last 2 years. Well, I've been in HR for 25 years, but I've lived through a pandemic in HR. If any of you are in HR, you can appreciate how hard this has been. But they're actually way more accomplished than that. So thank you so very much. Congratulations today. So I'd like to start with asking you both to share with us an accomplishment that isn't written in your 25-page bios, your websites, and probably in many of the awards that you've already received. What would you say, and I'll start with you, U.S. Attorney, what would you say has been your greatest accomplishment and why?
I would say, well, first of all, thank you. I would say, like Danella, I'm a mom. I'm a mom of an 18-year-old daughter who just graduated on Friday from high school and has signed to run track, yes, with Syracuse University. So I will not be paying for college, which I don't care what happens after this, I've won. I am winning all the time. And then I'm also the guardian of 2 of my nieces as a result of many of the issues I talk about as DA. So mental health issues, substance use issues, and cycling in and out of carceral facilities. I'm the oldest of 5, and I have siblings that are exceptionally well accomplished. My younger sister is the executive director of the Red Sox Foundation and makes me feel like I have to do much better to at least be in her presence. And then I have other siblings who are exceptional in other ways but have struggled, and their line has not been straight. But, you know, you can love people and not agree with the choices they make or the situations they continue to find themselves in. So I would say that's something a lot of people don't know about me. And my 2 nieces are 9 and 13, and I've had them since they were 2 and 7, if that math works. But I've had them almost for 7 years each, and I am now officially the guardian of one of them and about to become officially the guardian of the second at the end of this month.
Wow. Thank you. Feeling any better about myself. So, you know. Alana?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for recognizing the Office of Economic Empowerment today, and so great to be here with everyone. This is literally my first in-person event in over 2 years. I was like, what shoes do I wear?
Yeah, they look good. Good choice.
I haven't worn much besides flats for the past 2 years, and a lot of sneakers. I'm actually running off to field day for my 8-year-old son later on today. And I should say on a personal note, I think what I'm most proud of is being a mom, and it's been so challenging but rewarding over the past 8 years. But in terms of the Office of Economic Empowerment, when Treasurer Goldberg created the office a little over 7 years ago, and sometimes it feels like yesterday, it was the first office of its kind in the country. Treasurer Goldberg really had a vision. She really wanted to bring the idea of economic empowerment to the Treasurer's office, and she truly felt that as the CFO of the state, she had not only had the ability, but more importantly, the responsibility to make sure that all Massachusetts residents had access to the knowledge and tools that they could make informed financial decisions throughout their lives. And when we first started, we were a very small team. We'd roll up our sleeves and get everything done. There was 3 of us, and we've now really become a national model. We frequently get phone calls from other entities across the country, whether it's cities or states, looking to hear how we're putting on our programs. I'm incredibly proud of the way the team was able to very, very quickly transition from in-person programming to digital during the pandemic, and just really kept going without missing a beat during those very difficult times. And I really want to say, when we first started, we always created our programming with an equity lens. But just last year, our trust fund board actually voted to include racial equity in our mission statement. And now that's something that really underscores a lot of the work that we're doing. And it's become more important than ever. One of the things we're actually looking into right now is creating a baby bonds program here in Massachusetts. Our first meeting is later this week. So that's just some of the stuff that I'm really incredibly proud that the office has done over the past 7 years.
Oh, congratulations. That's great.
Thank you so much. So next question to me, you just mentioned that you haven't put on shoes in the last 2 years. So much has changed in the last 2 years. And I'd love to know, as the both of you sort of reflect and think about what has happened, what do you see as progress for us? How do you see that the world has changed specifically relative to your work? I know that Rachel, you're leading on a new initiative, but what do you think some of the obstacles are? What do you think has changed? Where do you think we need to go? Start with you, Rachel.
So I think obstacles are, in the criminal legal system, if one thing goes wrong, everyone's like, that's it, we're done. We're going back to the way it was before. And I'm just fascinated that, conservative people in my position prior to me didn't have to show any data at all to support the fact that they were just going to, the police were going to arrest and they were going to prosecute almost like a rubber stamp at times, or when they did use their discretion, which by the way was quite often, they didn't trust you enough to tell you that. They wanted to keep that close to the vest because they were about law and order, and they were tough on crime. We're smart on crime. And so period, right? And so what I want and hope people are understanding is I'm known as the district attorney who had the list of 15. It wasn't a list of 15 crimes I decriminalized or wasn't going to prosecute. It was a list of 15 I was going to flip the presumption from always prosecuting people to instead, maybe we should just push them into a city service, a state service, or a federal service, because close to 80% of those people suffer from a mental health disorder, are in crisis, substance use disorder, or are having food or housing insecurity. 80% of them. And that's where we spend, as DAs, 80% of our time on trespasses, right? And so I promise you, I don't care if you're white, black, poor, rich, alive, or dead. I hope you're alive, but all right. If I ask you, do you want me to focus on a trespass or the murder that happened in your neighborhood? Which one do you want? If you say trespass, we're talking outside, right? Unless the trespass led to a murder, and then, okay, you win, right? But my point is it's violent, serious crime I want to focus my attention on. So this sort of label of like Rachel Rollins, let everyone free, I want anarchy. No, no, no. This is the last face you want to see if you commit a violent, serious crime. I promise you. Because this face looks you dead in the face and says to you and your family, I know you're more than this moment, but in this moment, you will be held accountable for raping somebody, shooting somebody, human trafficking, etc. And when I diverted my limited time and resources away from that 80% of nonviolent, non-serious stuff, we created the Project for Unsolved Suffolk Homicides, which is why you saw that 1984 murder that was just solved by the Suffolk DA's office. That started in December with me, the Whitey Bulger murder, or murders from 40, 30, 20 years ago. We have the Crime Strategies Bureau. We are doing all of these things to disrupt violence. We don't get any of that if we continue doing things the old way. So I'm optimistic that people are looking at data and want evidence-based decisions, and that we have intelligent people running these offices that look differently. And I will end with, as the first woman to ever be in that role, the words are different that come out of my mouth. If you remember Jassy Carrera, who was violently, kidnapped and murdered, one of the first things that happened under my leadership as DA, and sadly was found in the trunk of a car in Delaware. At that press conference of 8 or 9 people, there was one woman standing there, me. And all of the social media had been, what was she wearing? Where were her friends, right? Because she went out on her 23rd birthday, looked fantastic, and was out with her friends having a good time. And yes, she drank. She's 23. She wasn't drinking at 13. And I went off script and said, and you know what we aren't going to do? We're not going to talk about what Jassy was wearing or her friends. We're going to tell men to stop raping and kidnapping and murdering us, and tell men to start speaking to other men about violence, right? And this isn't a woman's issue, it's an issue for everyone. So I'm optimistic that people are now speaking truth to power and not afraid of calling out things when they're wrong.
I think for me, really looking at the COVID-19 pandemic, it's really given us an opportunity to pause and reflect. And one of the things for me that I think that, COVID did make worse, but was already there, was the issue of childcare, not just in Massachusetts, but across the country. And when I say childcare, I mean affordable and accessible childcare that makes it possible for men and women to go to work each and every day. Women left the workforce during the COVID-19 pandemic in numbers that were staggeringly higher than men, and that number was even higher for women of color. And for many, many cases, it's because of childcare and childcare needs. And, speaking from the Office of Economic Empowerment, child care is an economic engine, and it's a key part of our economy. And if people cannot access affordable child care, and in many cases, the child care centers that were closed were the neighborhood, affordable, local places. That's the kind of place that my own son went to. Those are the ones that closed and are still closed. And I know many women who are choosing to not go back into the workforce because they don't have child care. And I think that that's one of the things that we really need to continue to look at, and it's currently being spotlighted as, I think the help solve the problem. It's really, it's a multi-pronged solution. Employers need to be doing something, making it, providing either flexible time, hybrid workplaces, continuing those types of policies. But the government also has to be doing more to make it, to bring more people into early education, bring more people into the childcare industries. Or actually, our office is getting ready to announce a child care startup grant program, stay tuned, to help encourage more people and help those that are trying to open up child cares across the state. But we need to do more to make sure that it's affordable, make sure that it's accessible, and making sure that this is a field that people want to go into, because if we don't have child care, it's going to make it very hard to keep many people in the workforce.
So true. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was very powerful from both of you. Now, what you're working with every single day, what you're encountering every single day is really heavy. What keeps you motivated to do this work? I'll start with you, Rachel.
I think a few things. When I see teenagers, sadly, of course, after a massacre, but Parkland, those kids coming together, or even what we saw in Texas recently, there are leaders emerging. I wish, as sort of poor people and women and people of color, we didn't have to, very candidly, be murdered before we were heard. But I promise I am motivated by the young people I see that are not willing to put up with the things that it took me to, 46 years old is when I decided, the ripe age of 46, to run for office for the first time. I feel like I see my 9-year-old Victoria could easily be a campaign manager. Like she's either going to be the head of a crime syndicate or like a CEO or something. But she grew, she was, 5 years old getting signatures, right? Like they understand more about processes and the way government works in civics than I did at 46, right? Victoria a year ago was like, all right, what's the difference between Michelle Wu and, Anissa Essayah-George? And I'm like, how do you even know? It took me a year to say Anissa Essayah-George's name correctly. And she's a friend, right? But, okay, so I think that keeps me motivated. And I do think also, even in crisis, there are positive things that come out of this. I think with COVID, we saw the value of the working class and immigrants, which we hadn't seen before. All of us know first responders or police, fire, and EMS workers, right? But now we also know from COVID, it's the people that work at supermarkets. Mm-hmm. It's the people that clean hospitals. It's transportation workers. It's people that work in sanitation. They don't get to Zoom in to meetings, right? Like we immediately changed to being dressed from our waist up, right, appropriately, and then sweatpants from the waist down, because I was on Zooms all day as DA, and then as, even at times as U.S. Attorney. But I think the working class and the immigrant population, we are finally recognizing the hard work that they do and how important they are. And then I think it also exposed inequities. And I know that doesn't seem like a motivation, but in that exposure, I think true change is going to come, which is what motivates me.
Thank you.
I'm motivated by the work we do for the Office of Economic Empowerment. It really does motivate me every day. But we hear back from people that attend our programs, that have been through our sessions. One of our programs that I'm really proud of is our college savings account program, Baby Steps, where we help families start saving for their child's future education, literally at birth. And we've had families contact us and just say, thank you for helping me. We did a pilot in Worcester, and we had families that came up to us and said, because of you, I'm starting to save for my child's college education. I don't want them to be having the kind of student loans that I have. But then we've met women who've been through our Women's Economic Empowerment programming and had our financial education that's geared specifically to women, as well as our salary negotiation training. And we've gotten emails, or even sometimes, personal phone calls that people saying, because of you, I feel like I made a better choice when I bought my house. I was approved for this mortgage, but I realized I couldn't afford that, but I got my house at this price instead. Or we've had other women that come back to us and say, because of the training during your salary negotiation, I was able to negotiate for a higher salary when I got my new job or when I went in for a promotion. So getting that type of qualitative feedback and hearing personally from people that how they're impacted by our programming is a huge motivation. And I also have to give a huge shout out to everybody at the Office of Economic Empowerment. I'm going to recognize Samantha Perry over there, she's the deputy director of the office, and I honestly feel like I work with some of the greatest people on the planet, and they are incredibly hardworking and dedicated to what they do. They're always coming up with new ideas, ways to improve our programming, ways to add new programming, and the energy is just so palatable in our office. And I want to say right now we're like everybody else right now, we're short-staffed, and everybody on my team has literally said to me, what else can I do? How can I help out? And they just motivate me every single day. And I have to say too, I do work for the treasurer of the state, Treasurer Goldberg. When she created this office, I was very honored when she named me as the first director of the office. She really tasked us with an ambitious mission. And working for somebody that doesn't just talk the talk but walks the walk. We have flex time in the Office of Economic. We have flex time in the entire Treasury. We have parental leave. We were one of the first offices to do that. And as a working mom, being able to have flex time and have a hybrid schedule really helps me too. And to be able to work for somebody that really has that passion also is a huge motivator.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I want to do something really quickly because I'm all about engagement and would ask someone from that side of the room and someone from this side of the room start thinking very quickly. And I would ask our two honorees, because this is Justice in Action. Does anyone on that side of the room have a question for one of our honorees? Come on, let's do it. Oh, we have another beauty queen in the room.
Oh my
yes,
God.
And you are Miss. I can't.
Blackstone Valley.
All right, I love it.
So my question is for U.S. Attorney Rollins. When you were speaking about that 80% of nonviolent crime, you were talking about the role of mental health and looking for evidence and data. And so when I'm not wearing a shiny hat, I am a scientist and a psychologist. So my question is, how can I, as a scientist, be helping to contribute to some of those mentality shifts within our government?
First of all, stop showing off. No, I'm just joking. No, I'm joking. Congratulations to both of you. I love it. I'm really proud of both of you. Look, we need you, right? Like, I think the problem with lawyers, and apologies to the rest of you in the room that are lawyers, we think we know everything. We need scientists. We need psychologists to help us and bolster the arguments that we're making, right? With respect to science, right? We want to talk about brain development maybe, right? And talk about raising the age. And we hear about the sort of bipartisan 20 US senators that are coming together. Even they, the 10 Republicans and 10 Democrats, granted it's not a bill yet or a law, but are understanding that there's a cohort of individuals between the age of 18 and 21. They didn't say under 21 like writ large, but they did say between that age we need an additional level of inquiry regarding background checks. As a scientist about brain development. As a psychologist, what does trauma do to a young person, a juvenile, or even an adult that experiences this? We need you, if you are interested, to see if any of the studies you're doing or you read in the newspaper about something that the U.S. Attorney or a DA is doing, reach out and say, hey, I'd love to help with the study, or have you seen this study on that, whether it's in Massachusetts, around our country, and additionally, the globe, right? I love to look at other countries to see what they're doing. We recently raised the age of entry into the criminal legal system from 7 years old to 12. And we were like, this is amazing. It is amazing. Europe, it's 14. Right? Now, granted, we have people who commit murders that are young, and we have to figure out what's going to happen with those people. But in places like Germany, when somebody who's 14 commits a murder, they don't look at that child as to be blamed. They say we, as Germany, have failed this person or this family. I think we have to start thinking that way as well. So for me, I'd love for you to start reaching out and telling us, even if we're wrong, hey, have you seen this study, Rollins, which says the exact opposite of what you've been yelling about? I'd love to have coffee with you. I would love an email like that, honestly, or stuff like that. So just don't be afraid to jump in, because it shouldn't just be lawyers talking about these things, that we have other experts that should be involved with. So that's what I would say, and congratulations.
Thank you. Anybody from this side of the room?
They're shy.
All right, Miss Boston. You have a question? Oh, I saw a hand. Come on.
So my question is for Alana. Alana, so, JDI is a coalition around domestic violence. I don't need this.
They can't hear your question.
JDI is a coalition around
There you
domestic violence. And so during the pandemic, were there any programs that the office created or was able to trickle down to the issue of domestic violence? How was that? Was there any effect there during that time?
Yes, absolutely. We've actually been working with JDI and our partners at People's M&T. I'm going to give our partners a shout out to help train bankers to help recognize potential survivors of domestic and sexual violence. That's something actually we're getting ready to make a bigger announcement about maybe later this month, so please stay tuned. So that's something actually we started working on pre-pandemic. We've actually not just been training bankers, but as well as members of our own staff as well. So this is something we've actually been working on, and the issue of economic justice for survivors is something that's very important. It's something that we recognize. We recognize the role that economics and finances often play for survivors, and we really feel like helping to train those who are in positions, because one of the things that I personally learned during I went through the training, and I personally learned, and where's Diana? I want to give Diana, thank you. She did an absolutely amazing training. If I'm going to say this, I'm going to just do a plug right now. Any bankers in the room? Please get this training. It was so eye-opening. I know I'm probably spreading you way too thin, but this is, I know there's only one of you, and this training is just so important, but to really, the bankers who have been through this just say how eye-opening it is. And as somebody who personally went through it, to recognize really, when survivors are looking for places that are safe places, I didn't recognize the role that banks often play, and they do see banks often as a safe space. So this is something that we're really hoping to expand, and like I said, we are hoping to make an announcement very soon with our partners on this.
Thank you. All right, the last question will go to U.S. Attorney Rollins, and we want you. This is Justice in Action, and we want you to give us a call to action.
Yeah, I mean, I think my call to action actually is going to be sitting here, and then I will tell you all what to do too. But I'm starting a human trafficking unit at the U.S. Attorney's Office, and well, I had decided that before I got here, but thank you for the claps. But what I want to do is make sure that we're working with you, because individuals that are trafficked, and this isn't just sexual. Sort of human trafficking is labor trafficking as well. It's money, it's slavery, basically. You are working, whether you're a sex worker, and that's a different breakfast, right? About whether you agree or disagree with sex work or not, but someone is taking the money that you have earned through the work that you've done. And I think that there's a real importance with these type of organizations, JDI or My Life, My Choice or others, where we get people into the safety of survivorship to then expose them to opportunities about how they can increase sort of their economic development themselves. So I'd love to possibly partner with you about that, which I think is my call to action. And then for you, you don't have to be us, right? Whatever it is that you're a musician, I just was eavesdropping and heard you say, whatever your passion is, use that to do what it is you find important. If your goal is to have more arts and music available in schools, you don't have to be me and yelling and fighting, about everything with everyone. You can, which I love, by the way, but you can be the best you are and use the platform you have for the issues you find important, whatever those are. Because I feel like where we are right now in 2022, you can no longer be silent and on the sidelines, because silence is assent, and there are too many things that people need assistance with. I like to say, people love to be called allies. No, I want you guys to be unindicted co-conspirators. I said unindicted, but that's a couple steps beyond an ally, where you aren't just whispering silently or sending someone a text. You're standing up in a meeting like this and saying, you know what, I support that too. And I have a little bit more I need to learn about it, but I stand in solidarity with you about it, and I will be helpful in that role. So that's my call to action for all of us, is to just be more involved in the things that we are excellent in or the platforms that we have.
Awesome. All right.
That was powerful. Thank you so very much.
Now we have 2 awards.
Oh, I have a weird, things are dangling. Thank you. Woo, fancy. Congratulations.
Justice in Action Award presented to the Honorable Rachel Rollins for your extraordinary commitment and leadership in the work to create the world with gender equity, racial justice, and safety for all. June 14th, 2022. And similarly, Justice in Action Award presented to the Office of Economic Empowerment, Office of the Treasurer and Receiver General of the Great Commonwealth of Massachusetts for your extraordinary commitment and leadership in the work to create a world with gender equity, racial justice, and safety for all. Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
And is Caleb closing us out?
Oh no, we're going to have another tribute.
Another tribute? Okay.
So if JDI were an animal, it would be. It might seem funny, but I actually would choose an insect, an ant. You see, ants are so united toward a common purpose. Like if you ever seen a colony of ants and the way they operate as one, like seriously focused, committed, you know, I see that unified strength and visionary purpose in Jane Doe. So yeah, Jane Doe, you're an ant.
Celia, thank you so much for joining me on stage. Celia Ricci.
Thank you.
So thank you so much today. I think that what I'd like to do right now is really ask all of you to dig deep into your pockets and think about what you want to offer us in terms of a donation. As you've heard today, the work that JDI does every single day is amazing. They help survivors. They then propel them into conquerors. And once you can achieve that, you've been able to really live a life. So I really thank you for all of that. So no donation is too small or too big, so dig deep.
Not too big.
Right now, Celia.
Thank you. Thank you, Maria. On behalf of the board and the development committee, just thank you to you and Danella for really giving your time. We really appreciate you. And to all of you, if I can just get a quick show of hands, how many of you is this your first JDI event? All right. How many of you is it not your last JDI event? All right, now keep your hands up. Wait, keep the hands up. All right, now reach at the table. There are these nice, beautiful cards. There are also pens. Reach for the pens. And you can give them to us at the door, but we would love you to stay engaged with us all throughout the year. One way to do that is to join the Grand Circle of Giving, whether you're doing $50 a month or we did the math thanks to Rockland Trust. If $1,000 a year for the Grand Circle of Giving amounts to $83.33 a month, I think that's doable. I spend more than that on Uber every week. So please do what you can, stay involved with us. It really supports JDI throughout the year, like Maria said. We need to keep the support going beyond today, though we're really happy to have you here today, but we want to see you next year.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I'd like to invite Caleb back to the stage. I almost want to stand up here and like sing with him, but I can't. Only in the shower, I'm told. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, I hope you all were blessed like I was. Thank you again, JDI and Tony. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to use my music to support the cause. And so I love doing this. I love using my music to advocate. And so this next song, or this song I'll close with, is actually a calling to men, calling men in, I guess people say call out, but call men in to contribute to the solution of some of the domestic violence problems, men, unhealthy ways of men expressing themselves, men not caring and treating for each other and women well. And so this is a song that encourages men to be a man, but to discard some of the maybe wrong messages of what manhood could mean, and especially growing up that I can relate to. So this song is for everybody, but especially to the men. They told you be a man, they told you be strong, they told you be a fighter, but there's really much more on what it means to be a man. Let's talk about it, be a man.
Okay, let's talk.
This is an important conversation, let's have it then. On what does it mean to be masculine? So many people hide their pain, yeah they masking it with a smile, so it's hard to figure out what's happening.
I see you though.
I see some guys really drowning, and they don't know how to cope, so they hurt the people around them. And listen, y'all, that ain't no excuse for abuse. And if we don't face the truth, the youth will inherit the problem. So dear brother, I hope you know that it's okay to be vulnerable, and there ain't no shame in being emotional, but when it turns to violence, see, that is something we don't condone. I hope you hearing me and we can really see, man, that's using our God-given ability to express ourselves without using hostility. That's a true mark of masculinity. They told you be a man, they told you be strong, they told you be a fighter, but there's really much more on what it means to be a man. Let's talk about it, be a man. See, they tried to define you, but some of it was wrong, so we reimagined manhood and put it in a song. So go ahead, be a man.
Show your feelings.
Be a man. Be a man, cause we all are affected when peace is neglected and women aren't protected. In fact, any gender-based violence, we don't accept it. So we gotta make a plan, take a stand and correct it. So get in tune with the movement. Contribute to the solution. We can never be neutral. We leading the revolt against toxic masculinity and sexual assault. So here's this. If you having doubts, you may be part of the problem, even if you don't act it out. Think of the music you listen and the jokes that you tell, because this isn't nothing to laugh about. Vision. Make a plan, take a stand, stay committed. Fighting to bring change, that's with no hesitation. So we can tell the next generation, when they told you be a man, they told you be strong, they told you be a fighter, but there's really much more on what it means to be a man. Let's talk about it, be a man. I said they tried to define you, but some of it was wrong, so we reimagined manhood and put it in a song. So let's go and be a man. Show your feelings, be a man. They told you be a man, they told you be strong, but a real man will stand up and admit when he's wrong. So go ahead, be a man. I stand with you as a man. And when times getting low and times are getting hard, just think about your sister or your daughter or your mom. Then go ahead, be a man. Fight for change as a man. Thank you.
Caleb, thank you. It's okay to be vulnerable. Thank you for bringing us some joy this morning and educating us along the way. I think enough has been said. Again, thank you for choosing to spend your morning with JDI. We are so grateful on behalf of Maria and I, and shout out again to our esteemed Executive Director, Deborah Robin. Thank you all so much. We bid you a great morning and a great rest of the week. Thank you so much.
Grab your swag bags, drop off your envelopes. For those of you who are online, there is a link that leads you right to where you can make donations as well. Thank you so very much.
Have a good morning.